What's going on, guys? Welcome to Beauviarts. This is Beau, and today I have something special for you. We have a Patreon critique. So if you're one of my patrons, you can get in for $1, just $1, and you can submit your work to get critiqued. It's really empty right now. I only have a couple of patrons, so take advantage of that while you can and submit the work because you have a greater chance of it getting discovered and probably getting a critique on it. So you can go to the website and look at the rewards. This is from Pariswinkle. She is a good friend of mine, an art friend. She's been on a couple of live streams, and we're going to critique her work here. So we have a really cool scene here with the guitarist person riding a dragon through the clouds in the moonlight. Really cool idea. I like this a lot. I like the guitar. I'm a guitarist, so I like that. Extra points for you. So I'm going to point out a couple things that you did good, a couple of opportunities for you. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background copy here so we can do like a kind of before and after thing. And I really like the color palette you have going. You have this really nice peachy orange kind of color, and then you have some teals to complement it. So definitely this is the focus right here, right? This piece. It's not going to be this cloud over here. It's not going to be this moon. And there are a couple of distractions. I think, first off, the moon is pretty distracting in this because it's so different, I guess. The color of it, I feel like, should be kind of tapered down a little bit. That way we're not looking directly at the moon right away. Because that's kind of what I did when I pulled up this piece as a thumbnail. Whoop, my eyes went right up here. And it's because yellow has a tendency of being, it always wants to be bright. If we go over here to the yellow spectrum, no matter what, yellow stays pretty distracting, right? Unless we start coming down in here to this nasty muddy color. Yellow's pretty distracting. If you're a fan of Istabrack, she talks about that in a really recent critique video. So we want to kind of tone that down, and what I'll probably do is make that a different color, but still recognizable as the moon. Overall, really cool colors. I think that a really nice opportunity would be to take these grays and these blacks and find something to do with them. So I think there's a temperature issue with this entire piece. So what I mean by that is we can do just a simple color adjustment here, and you're going to see immediately what I talk about. So let's bring this box over here and let's fix the temperature. So this is called fixing or correcting the wash. So every piece is going to have a wash, right? Where it either goes, that means the temperature of it's warm or it's cold. And right here with the grays and the blacks, it kind of hangs in the balance. We don't know where the temperature is going. But you've left some clues. So you've left a lot of purples, you left some blues, some more purples. So I can kind of tell that you want this to be kind of a peaceful kind of vibe coming from this painting. So what we're going to do is we're going to encourage that by sliding. And here, let me do this again, that way if you missed it. So we just go to Image, Adjustments, and Color Balance. We're going to slide it over to the cyans, and we're going to find something comfortable here. So you notice we do that too much, it's going to kill those nice purples that you have. So let's come over here to the magenta. And again, what's going on with my tablet here? Here we go. Sorry about that. We're just going to start nudging things over, and we're going to find a nice balance here. That's looking pretty good. Let's head over to the blue just a tad. We're going to turn down the magenta here. And already, you already kind of feel like this has a nighttime feel. There we go. I want it to have a cool feeling. I don't want it to be too warm in this, and you probably don't either. So let's do that. Sorry, I got this cough. And another thing you can do, let's handle this moon real quick, right? So if you go outside, you look at the moon, it's either going to be like kind of a yellow glow. They do have some yellow glows to it, but like I said, we don't want it to end up being too dirty or too distracting. So really we can't do anything with the yellow. Let's come back over here. If you do the eyedropper and then you click on this, and then you move this up and down, you can see what other colors are in the neighborhood of that same value, right? So let's go for something that has a little bit of match in the color scheme now. And then let's take it to the gray. So this isn't going to be a perfect moon, right? We're just trying to get the job done here to where you can get the idea of what's going on. So let's take this nice kind of a bluish color. Right, I guess I can work on my circles a little bit better, huh? Here. I have hypoglycemia, so I'll shake for no reason, and then I have to go like drink some orange juice and get some sugars in me sometimes. So I actually have a couple of programs that assist me with that. Lazy Nezumi. So if you ever watch and I'm drawing and I'm like making lines, and you're like, what is going on? Why is he doing lines over and over? It's because I'm trying to kind of get it out of my system to get warmed up. It takes me a little bit longer than others. So let's kind of fix it to where it's not wonky. Once again, this won't be a perfect paint over, but I just want to steer you in the right direction. And I feel like that's a pretty good moon there. We can come down. Now see you've got the little haze. And you don't want to go too crazy with special brushes, but we can pop a haze in there. That's a little distracting. Let's turn that down to about 20% opacity. And now we have a very wobbly moon, but you get the idea. When you zoom out, it's not so distracting like the yellow was in the other one. And we'll do it before and after here in a second. So let's continue before we hit that. And I think another good opportunity for you is to utilize our new moonlight and get some highlights going here. So dragons are a little bit tricky because there's, it's a non-existent creature. You have all kinds of different dragons, right? So you can take advantage of that. It looks like here that you've gone for some, maybe he's got a highly reflective or kind of a medium reflective like leather kind of texture to his skin. Let me see here. So we're going to take advantage of that. And what you can do is you can do color dodge. Now that we have a light source that kind of makes sense, right? It's not too distracting, and it kind of adds to the overall piece because now we have we don't have another warm color thrown up here. Now this is our only warm color that we're handling. So this moon shape's I should have went elliptical on it. It's really bothering me. There we go. But now we can take advantage of this lighting scene that we have here. So what you want to do is open up another layer here, and get color dodge going. So this is really something that you want to use sparingly in the final touches of your painting. And let's see what we can do here. Let's give him some highlights because this skin type would be more reflective. Hit his little nose there. And remember, it's the top of it's going to be hotter as far as lighting goes than the bottom of it, right? Because you've already done a pretty good job of this. The light source is from this side, so we wouldn't come down here and hit this. The light's not going to reach this area. So keep that in mind. You can give little rim lights to things that you want to accent, like this cool horn here. We can come over here. And we can even hit the top of that with a little bit of lighting. We don't want to do too much because it can get ugly really quickly. So let's take our eraser here. And we're going to erase away. Whoops, too much. Oh, that's your signature. I was like, why is that not erasing? And magically, we already have something that's working really well. And it's reading well, too. What that's going to do... Here, let's take down some of this... like right there. There we go. That's reading really nice. It's making this dragon pop out. What I would also encourage is... when you're doing... Let's see, is this black that you have right here for her? You've got it in the neighborhood of purple. So what you kind of did is you went against the rule of what we were talking about earlier, is taking the color, and you took this color of her pants, and you went black, and then you just kind of dropped it down and went up and down for like gray and black for shading on her pants, I think, or maybe that's a purple. That might be a dark purple. regardless, what we're going to do is we're going to play around with some lighting scenarios here. So what you can do for that is, instead of just going like gray or something really unsaturated, you can play around with some of these cool colors. What you'll do is you'll reiterate the color palette in different areas. So we took this blue right here from his wing and we put it on her pants. Now, does that mean that the pants are reflecting the wing? No, it's just reiterating the color, and it's also kind of separating her form. Now we can kind of read her form better, right? So you can do little tricks like that. You can also probably add some rim light to her. Just depends. Really, the real focus is how cool the dragon is. But we don't want to leave her alone too, right? So let's see if this works. Sometimes you have to play with it and see if it works. For the art style. Let's try color dodge. How about that? Oh, whoops. That's going to be more of what you're looking for right there, is to use color dodge and just kind of accent some areas with her. You can tell between highlighting the pants like that and just, you know what, I'm not even really crazy about that rim light. I don't think that's absolutely necessary. We can leave a little bit on her hair, though, just to show some cool colors there. But just by adding that one little touch right there with her pants, and with his highlights, everything's kind of standing out a lot better, right? Yeah. So let's see. I think really the only other thing that you want to do, let's come down here to our normal layer. Guitars are a little bit reflective. They're glossy, so you might just kind of touch that up a little bit down there. And again, that's also reiterating some colors from the environment. Now it doesn't look like she's just kind of an afterthought on the dragon. Now we've tied in some of those colors, and by reiterating colors from the dragon and putting them on this character, you now have a character that looks like she's actually in the scene. So that's kind of a nasty little trick there that you can do. Because I've done that before. I've painted something where I've done the background and then I've done the character, and it doesn't look like that character is actually part of the background, you know? It just looks like they're kind of stuck to just a copy of a background. So now you've kind of got it to where she's in the environment. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. It's really still hard to talk and think and draw at the same time. If you want to emphasize some of these shadows a little bit more, what you do is you can take the, oops, sorry about that. Let's put that back up there. I'm having issues with my keyboard. There we go. You can take some of the dark colors from the environment. And notice I did that with color dodge. I didn't pull an orange, or I took the light source. So let's take the shadow source, which would be the sky. Some of the clouds too, if you want. And, ooh, that's kind of ugly. Let's take a darker purple here. Let's see if that works. There you go. And multiply is a great tool for emphasizing shadowy areas, you know. And I use I'll talk to you about this. I use a rough brush for everything. I don't use a soft brush. And the reason being is because I think it leaves more interesting textures. It's all subjective to the artist. You know, you obviously have a very cool style going. I don't want to ruin that, but I think it gives some interesting textures. Let's hit this wing, I'll tell you what. Because the light from the moon, even though the wings are like really thin, you're going to see some what's called subsurface scattering, where you'll see the coloration of the skin and the blood and stuff like that beneath it. It's not going to reach quite this far, so let's just darken that a little bit, right? And you can already tell, actually, using just a rough brush adds a little bit of more interesting things to look at. And that's always a good rule of thumb. You've done a really good job here because you've had a couple of materials that go against each other. So like he has kind of a shinier skin surface, and then you have a bunch of cloth going here too, and then the fluffiness of the clouds. So pictures work really well together when you do that, when you have two textures that battle each other. it turns out really well. So let's turn these off. And then there's your old piece. So the piece we had before, still really good, but we just had some opportunities for colors, so we turned the temperature up, which, bam, that could have been the end of it right there. And then we kept going a little bit. Added some highlights, a little bit of color dodge and multiply. And then we can, here, let's erase a little bit on this multiply. I think I used it a little bit too liberally there. And now it's reading much, much better. And I zoom out like this because that's how people are going to be looking at media. They're not going to zoom in right away. and this is JPEG, by the way, so I'm sure she has the PNG or whatever. But they're going to be looking at it from a distance. So that's going to conclude this critique. Again, if you want to get your own critique, then go to mypatreon.com, become a patron for me. It starts at $1, $1, $2, $15 for a one-on-one mentorship. So you can pick the level that works best for you. Come and join me while I draw. You can chat with me. And I'll put that information below in the video. Thank you very much, Pariswinkle. Go visit her, and I'll put her information below as well. Great job, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you.